Chairman Sampson, recording has begun.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Commissioner Minisky, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Okay. By a show of hands, all that approve? Okay. The minutes have been approved. All right. Next on the agenda, under the matters of discussion and review, is the Phase 1 final plat for Pinegrove. Director Harrington.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commission members. For the record, Janine Harrington, Director of Planning for the town. So yes, before you tonight is the Pinegrove Neighborhood I Phase 1 final plat. This is the section of residential single-family dwellings that is proposed on 61.25406 acres. It's within the overall Pinegrove neighborhood. It is off of La Plata Parkway and kind of across from where neighborhood K is within the development. So the applicant had submitted an application for the review and approval of a final plat for neighborhood I, which will create 135 lots. I've provided the background discussion over the entire development for our new members. So the master site development plan was reapproved in 2021. They have a maximum density of 3,170 units. In the table that I provided within the staff report, it shows you a breakdown of the neighborhoods and the approximate number of dwellings that are proposed within it. There's one school site proposed on parcel M, and parcel P is proposed to be a mixed-use commercial site. So the preliminary plat for neighborhood I was reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission on September 5th of 2023 for a total of 225 single-family dwellings. This project is subject to the Development Rights and Responsibilities Agreement, which was approved in November of 2021 with the town and the county regarding school seat allocations and the purchase of school seat allocations. This site is not proposing to use any school seat allocations from that Development Rights and Responsibilities Agreement. So there is approximately 61, I believe I said, 62.1 school seats that are required from the town, and we do have those to allocate. So the applicant, or the proposal is to create lots 1 through 47, 68 through 120, 147 through 181, and will include 44.71065 acres of open space, and there's several open space parcels scattered throughout the neighborhood. So in accordance with Chapter 173-24 of the Town Code, the Planning Commission would approve any final plats coming before for final approval prior to recordation. And staff has provided the following comments. That the final plat is consistent with the preliminary plat that was approved on September 5th, 2023, and is in conformance with all applicable codes of the town of La Plata. The final forest conservation plan was approved on February 12th, 2024, and the easements are reflected on the final plat as approved. Per the town's code 191-14 school seat allocation policy, and per the town's school seat yield factors for single-family detached dwelling units, the total number of school seats required for, oops, and I have the wrong number in that one too, is 62.1. I think that was for this 96.8 was for the full 225. But since they're breaking it out into two phases, that would be 135 units and 62.1 school seat allocations. So I'll make sure to reflect that. The town does have enough school seats to accommodate this development, and water and sewer allocations are available for the 135 lots. However, within my staff report, I did make an error. I have a giant spreadsheet that I'm working from that I was tracking water and sewer capacity, and I used the wrong number. So I did provide you guys with the updated APFO worksheet draft, so you can see where we're at. So the phase one for the 135 lots would require 33,750 gallons per day of water and 33,750 gallons per day of sewer. Now we get that number by taking the number of units and multiplying it by 250, which is a standard that is used in the town for one dwelling unit. So that's how many gallons per day each dwelling unit would, or the total number of dwelling units would require. Now, when you take the estimated town capacity that's remaining, and what I did was I forgot to take out anything that was approved with the major site plan. So that's why in my staff report, it showed 207,750. When you take all of the projects that have been approved, the final plats and the major site plans, the remaining capacity in our system is 51,098 gallons per day of water and 166,098 gallons per day of sewer. So when I take neighborhood I with 135 lots and I subtract out the 33,750 from both categories, the remaining water capacity is 17,348 gallons per day, and the sewer is 132,348 gallons per day. So we do have water and sewer to accommodate the 135 lots. I just wanted to make sure that I showed the changes from my staff report since those numbers were incorrect. And with that, staff is recommending approval of Neighborhood I Phase 1 in conformance with the town code. And I'd be happy to answer questions that you may have, especially given my water and sewer jumble.
Okay. Commissioner Banks, start with you. You have any questions? Commissioner Hutton? Commissioner Moniski? Commissioner High? I have two questions.
Okay.
On the water and sewer.
Mhm.
So thank you for updating that. I appreciate it. I just want to make sure. So the capacity for sewer is exactly the same as the water because of the standard measurement?
The standard measurement. So that's, yes, for a dwelling unit, we use 250 for water and sewer. That's just a standard that we've used and we're analyzing that, but at the current time, that's what we use.
And if I'm reading it correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, so we have 17,348, I guess, gallons per day. And Pinegrove Phase 1 requires 33,750 per day is the estimate, correct?
Correct.
So we're short. Am I reading?
No, so up at the very top of the page, above the remaining water capacity, you'll see the 51,098.
Mhm.
That is how much we have left. So you subtract the 33,000 from the 51. And that's where you get 17,348 is what's remaining after
Okay, I got it.
this subdivision.
But thank you. That clears that up for me. And then the second thing, I think this came up last time, so I'm probably repeating something that came up. But when I look in the staff report and I add up the numbers for Phase 1, it says the total dwellings is 3,170.
That's for the entire,
And now I see that when I add these numbers up, we have 3,222 on that sheet. That's what I came up with. So I
yes,
wanted-
so those are approximated numbers. So anything up to, and actually for like neighborhood B, they just submitted that and it's not 194. I can't remember what was the neighborhood B is actually going to be 91 units. So that's something that, again, this chart was what was done through the master site development plan, and it's just something that I need to update along with this.
so
This was kind of a last minute scourge to get you guys correct numbers.
So the actual plat that we reviewed in the agenda has the additional or the difference in the numbers, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, like I said, once we get down to the bottom, it cannot be over the 3,170 with the entire neighborhood, but those numbers are going to change as we kind of go through the process.
okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I do have a question, and it could be my math. So if I understand correctly, for neighborhood I, you're looking at 96.8 total school seats?
And so that was
That's the wrong number.
correct,
That should be 62.1.
correct.
Okay,
So what you can see, it still shows the 225. I forgot to update that. So the phase one that we're looking at tonight only has 135 lots. They broke it out into two phases. So neighborhood I in total has 225 units, but phase one only contains 135. So we are only looking at 62.1 school seats for this section.
so, and thank you for clarifying. And so for the spreadsheet that you provided us, and I acknowledge we're just focused on phase I, but the projected total number of school seats based on phase two of Pinegrove I and then Pinegrove B is a total of 327?
Pinegrove B?
Yeah, it's second to last.
Pinegrove B shows 51 school seats.
Yes.
So those are the projected, nothing's been allocated from those at that point. They may utilize DRRA
Okay.
school seats for that. We don't know yet.
Okay. But I, phase two and phase one, even though they're, I know school seats for the preliminary is still out there, but if we take away the 51, we're looking at 276?
So for neighborhood I, phase one and phase two. So the phase one has 135 lots, phase two will have 85 lots. That one will require 39 school seats for a total of 101. And this is utilizing the most recent yield factors. So the previous number may have been under the previous yield factors. It gets updated.
Okay, all right, because it's, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Is anybody from the, I had a couple of questions for them. I
Yes,
just wanted to-
so we have Mr. Steve Scott here representing the applicant.
Okay. I basically had just,
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Planning Commission members. My name is Steve Scott. I'm with Scott Law Group. I'm the attorney for the developer. Also with us virtually is Danielle Conroe of Rogers Consulting, who is the lead civil engineer on the project. We didn't plan any kind of presentation or had really anything to add, but we're happy to answer any questions.
okay, before I ask any questions, does anybody have any questions of the, okay, I basically had just three questions.
Sure.
Two of them were related. So I'll go with the first one that wasn't related. Back on, I think it was September 5th, when we
September
last
5th.
met, we agreed, and I'm going from memory, so I have to just round the number off. We said every time you would reach approximately, I think it was like 750 single-family dwellings, you would do an update of the traffic study and run it through Charles County, SHA, and Department of Transportation. So I see that phase one is going to do 225. So there's no requirement at this time based on that past agreement. But just for my, to assuage my concern, so when we do phase two, at that time, you will update us, or there will be an update?
Yes,
Public
Mr. Chair,
transportation?
when we get to the milestone, we will provide an update. But I will say that traffic studies and traffic analysis is ongoing, and also happy to tell you that we're making good progress with State Highway Administration on the permit for the signalized intersection at Willow Lane and La Plata Parkway. I know that's a big concern of a lot of residents in La Plata because that's a difficult intersection and that's obviously one of the primary access points for Pinegrove, particularly during the school year. Don't know yet on the timing of that traffic signal, but we would hope, cross your fingers and hope that we can get it in and get it installed before the end of the year. I think there was some discussion about trying to do it this summer before the fall school year, but it really depends on when State Highway issues their permits and when we can get the materials. But with respect to traffic reviews, that's ongoing and is on schedule.
Okay. And that leads to my last two questions, which was, I know there was a traffic study that was looked at back on August 18th, 2023. And I'm assuming what you just told me is the results of that traffic study?
Correct, yes, yeah. And also the developers' rights agreement that was signed with the county
Mhm.
also has some traffic components to it, which includes the signalized intersection that I just spoke of, also a full signalized intersection at Roswick Road, potentially also at Radio Station Road for the ingress egress that's planned there. And also if we can obtain the reissuance of a crossing permit, an at-grade crossing permit from CSX. Also a signalized intersection at Washington Avenue and Heritage Green Parkway. So all of those things are in the planning stages, and of course, traffic review is ongoing.
Okay. And my last question was, and I think you just answered it, but just for clarity's sake. So the approval of phase one, as far as it pertains to Charles County, there is no conflict or anything with this approval in Charles County's guidance or regulations or anything.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We know of no conflicts at all with the county, whether it's under their zoning ordinance or under their comprehensive plan. We're I think controversy free on this particular section of Pinegrove.
Okay,
I think that's a safe way to put it.
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Once again, are there any questions?
I do have one question. It's been gnawing at me for a little bit. If we could circle back to the phase one, I know that we've kind of passed this, but I just had one question. When you get that 33,750 that you have there, give me the numbers that we're multiplying again to get that number.
So you multiply the total number of dwelling units, which is the kind of second column, 135 units, and you multiply it by our standard of 250 gallons per day. So 135 times 250.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion on the final plat?
I'll second. I make a motion that we accept the final plat.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Motion seconded.
Okay. We'll do a vote. Commissioner High? Commissioner Moniski? Commissioner Banks? Commissioner Hudden?
Yes.
I also am a yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is manner of information. So I'll go back to Director Harrington.
Thank you. So yes, I am planning on doing a full update. I do need to update the main overall totals for the development so far. I've been quite busy and something that's slipped off my radar. We are working on this APFO worksheet draft. So this is something that we're hoping to put out for everyone to see where we're at. And this is also going to help us to guide the adequate public facilities ordinance that we're currently drafting to get that adopted. At this point, the only other project that's in the pipeline to come forward for a final plat is Steeplechase Phase 3A, which is 65 units. They were going to come to this month, and I have not heard an update on that one. So I will keep you posted on where we go next. But basically, when you look at the 17,348 number for the water remaining, that means that we have 69 equivalent dwelling units that we could approve. And of course, there is some wiggle room. That's why we use the 250, because it's generally much higher than what the average use of a dwelling is. So that's why we give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room on that. So we do have about 69 dwelling units left. We are currently working on the agreement with the county. So that's an ongoing agreement in order to connect to the county's water system that will connect into Tillman Lake. And we have our water storage there, which will give us an additional 1 million gallons of water per day. So that is something that we're working on, but there may be a lull in approvals until that is that agreement is signed and moving forward. So that's something that we'll keep you updated on. Other than that, we are.
Can I ask you a question? What is the approval route? Does it go all the way up to the Maryland DEP or?
I don't know. I'm not involved in that process. I do know it's an agreement. I know MDE is involved, and then the county and the town. That's all I'm aware of.
Thank you.
So along with the APFO, we are working on other sections of the code. I'm hoping to get to prioritize those a bit to get those moving forward. Some of those will come to the Planning Commission, and some of them are outside of the Planning Commission's purview. But I am looking at the subdivision chapter, streets and sidewalks, several others that I'll bring for you guys to review and to take a look at. Other than that, I don't really have any other updates unless there's specific questions that you have for me.
Okay. Any follow-up questions? Okay. And I see, well, unless anybody has any objection, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. All right, this meeting is adjourned.